as our colleague here. Indeed, for the efforts he exerted during the past period, in one of the greatest problems that we have faced in Egypt. Every time we shall not talk only about what has been executed and its cost and so on, but actually we are talking about the efforts of a ministry that has always been headed by a great scientist in this specialty. Through his efforts and science and knowledge, he was able to make a paradigm shift in the electricity in Egypt. We discussed this in the past years within difficult conditions, actually, in everything. In relation to power in Egypt, we are on the way that the power in Egypt, when I'm talking about power, actually I'm not meaning only electricity, as it's in this case, but when we talk about this topic, we said that Egypt, in relation to electricity, whether in terms of production, distribution, or control, as mentioned by Dr. Shaker, would be like any advanced country in this field. So when we talk now about electrical linking with the neighboring countries, we are able to do it. But considering the conditions in 2013 and 2014, and if we said at that time we want to execute electrical linking, that wouldn't be enough. This is the world trend, and if a country that is not ready, it would not be able to cope. This progresses for the interest of people and work. If you have electrical linking, you can exchange at the rush hours with the others and benefit from this in your country, and everyone will benefit from you too. This could be only be achieved with the efforts that were exerted. So the trend and the decision at that time was to make a high-level electrical power in Egypt. That's why I thank Dr. Shaker and the Ministry of Electricity. The point I'm talking about, actually, Dr. Shaker may find it inappropriate. Actually, he has a very huge office called Shaker Office, and when we told him you will join us, he left his company and didn't allow it to join work with the armed forces, not only the armed forces, but with the whole Egyptian state as a government. Why is that? He said, we just want to be away, and anything that we need, he do it without any cost, which I actually like. I'd like to thank you for this as well, because this is an example and model that everyone is learning from. As for the topic you presented here, as Dr. Shaker talked about the things he discussed, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but I will make it more simple for the simple people who are listening to understand what has been done. The problem in 2013 and 2014 was not only about producing electricity, it was also about the production, transferring, and the high quality of distribution. In order to achieve this, Dr. Shaker said 1,058 billion. Was this by a decent life? No, I don't think so. These 1,058 billion were not without a decent life. When this figure was set, many of us said, was it required? Yes, the answer is yes. Did we have another option? The answer is no. I'm telling everyone, and in the media as well, the presentation made by Dr. Shaker, actually it's here and it's available on the website of the Ministry of Electricity with more details. Please, these data is very important, and it's important to make it reach people with all the media means, whether through paper means of communication or through television or radio. It is a very simple thing to make people understand how things happen, work. When I talk to people, they say the electricity is expensive. That's right, it's expensive. But not because we want to make it expensive. Dr. Shaka did not discuss this point actually. He didn't talk about the quality of collection and the amount of loss. For me, actually, I always say we should pay more attention to the governance of the measurements, which means what we do we collect it or not? If we collect it, this means we succeeded. If not, this means we have a deficit that is only burdened by the state. Actually, the state cannot bear the burdens of these projects. They have burdens on the state and on the debts. Actually, we had one of the two options. First of them, not solving it. There are countries, without mentioning certain names, since 15 or 20 years, they suffer from electricity issues and do not solve them. The other option was to solve them because we saw that the national security in Egypt can be affected by this issue. In order to be a great country, to develop ourselves and give opportunities to the private sector and industries to grow or to be stable at least, and without electricity, this could not happen. And factories could be shut. I told Dr. Shaka this actually, when we were talking. I told him if factories are shut, people would leave and the employment would be laid off. And the whole country would be shut. So this had to be solved as soon as possible. The emergent plan discussed by Dr. Shaker that costed us $2 billion. Actually, we could follow the normal path without the emergent plan, but it would have taken 1 or 2 years with the way that happened. So the targeted collection amount of the provided electricity, you're talking about this and leaving everything else? Yes, the answer is yes. I provided service for you. And Dr. Shaker, when he was talking about the quality and the efficiency of this service in the Egyptian state, including the Upper Egypt, this cost us about 150 Egyptian pounds away from decent life for Upper Egypt in 4 or 5 years. Take into consideration the transportation sector, including railways or roads. This takes us to a larger figure. As for the presentation of Upper Egypt, it aimed at telling people that caring is not only about speaking. Someone a few days ago said, we want to provide a certain figure. Actually, it's not about figures. If I provide you a very small amount, like 100 Egyptian pounds and so on, I'll leave you without electricity or water or sewage or roads. Is it logical? Do you want me to deceive you? The figures set for Upper Egypt, I think they exceed 1 billion Egyptian pounds. Dr. Mustafa is supporting me. Actually, they are over 1,800 million in the past years, and we are still working. It's important that media take these data and simplify them if needed, in coordination with the Ministry of Electricity and Dr. Shaker. That would be good, so everyone can know what happens and what's been executed, in order to find the suitable service. When we designed a decent life, we started with about 30 or more centers in Upper Egypt. It tackled everything. I don't know if I'm going to say is appropriate or not, but is it possible to change the measuring systems in the 31 divisions that we are working in? Can the measurement system be a prepaid system? Because people complain that the readings are not accurate. So what could be accurate? To have a prepaid system that's topped up by you, away from the readings, and you are the one who is responsible for organizing the electricity consumption. I don't know if this is doable or not, but if it's doable, it's preferable. I wish that all the meters in Egypt would be prepaid. So the problem of complaining that the readings are not accurate sometimes, and sometimes they are unjust, we can solve this problem. If this is doable and possible, it would help us. I don't want to be lengthy. Thank you, Dr. Shaker. And the government for Upper Egypt Week. But we want to tell people that, and media as well, and the people of Upper Egypt, wanted to inform them about the efforts that are exerted and the cost that are bared by the state. This is actually our work, it's not a gift. And if we do not do this, then we are neglecting our work, and we are going to do more. Yesterday we were in Toshka. I believe that our colleagues, it's their first time to see this. I believe that people in these governorates want to see what happens, because sometimes on social media others make people doubt what happens, make them have hope. Every project that we do is another high dam. It's not an exaggeration. But the point is, if you want to make people see it, it would help them to be more confident about themselves, not only about us, because the state is able to improve its situation. The plane was over this station, and it looked great from above. This station is operated by the private sector with people from Upper Egypt. So any project established here in Upper Egypt, the people of Upper Egypt are more prioritized to work in them. I wish to give opportunities to the young people in universities and in schools even to visit these sites and make sure that things are better. Actually, you extended many things to the Ministry of Defense, but you are accurate with them in terms of money. Indeed, I am, but work something and money is another thing. It's a vision by a president and a good management and the will of people. This is the secret for the success of the new republic. The train of development of Upper Egypt is still moving with development. Allow us to start the tour to integrate the project.
دول آملنا قلنا قد المسؤولية ناس بتبني وناس بترسم الخطوة اللي جاية دول شباب أهل الصعيد دول زينة بلادنا الإرادة من حديد اتباعوا بولادنا هم دول
مشاهدينا الكرام ما زلنا معكم نتابع فعاليات هذه الاحتفالية المهمة.
We are still following up the event of this of the inauguration of Bimban Center. Egypt took very important steps in the variation of energy resources and would overcome some issues in providing energy in the past years. Let's welcome our guest that we are happy to have him now, His Excellency Minister Dr. Mohammed Shaker, the Minister of Electricity and Power. We are happy to have you, definitely. Let me at the beginning congratulate you for this project because it's a pride for every Egyptian who loves his country. Thank you very much. Definitely we want some important information that makes people understand the value of this project that is added to the other development projects in Egypt. In the strategy of Ministry of Electricity and Renewable Power, we mainly depend on the renewable energies, which mean the solar power or wind power or hydraulic power. This project is considered the largest in the region, in Africa and Middle East. It's one of the greatest projects. It had a very high reputation because it won 2 international awards as a pioneering project in this region. The capacities of this project reach 1,065 megas. It included the work of private sector, whether from Egypt or from outside Egypt. This shows that we depend on the private sector in this field. The energy produced by this complex is added to the national power network. Of course, the capacity of this and efficiency of this station is considered one of the world's best efficiencies. Its rank worldwide is number 4. But taking into consideration the factor of efficiency and solar power, it would be number 1 worldwide. And the extensions of the events of Upper Egypt Week, this shows you attended all the events. This shows that the power issue is linked with everything. You were actually invited to Toshka project. I just want to ask you about to what extent the role of the Ministry of Electricity and Renewable Power, how it's important, whether in Upper Egypt or in everywhere. You answered in the introduction. Power is a very important thing and necessary to operate everything in life, whether industrial projects, agricultural projects or commercial projects. This all depends on electrical power. In 2014, we went through very difficult conditions. We suffer from shortage and the capacities that can be generated, and also problems in transferring networks and distribution networks. We had a very huge development with assignment from the president. We needed to solve the problem as fast as possible. We received help from everybody. The president supported us a lot and strengthened us in order to overcome this issue. The success partners included different ministries. As I told you, thanks to God, we were able to succeed. After we had a daily deficit in power, actually one summer in 2013, the deficit reached 6,000 megawatts. Now we have full sufficiency with also reserves. So we are able to deliver the electrical power with high efficiency and a good continuity. When I mentioned this, I wish if you can remember some important points in the developmental projects, something that that grabs attention to the role of you and the ministry in solving some problems. This is my aim. Let me tell you something. The president in these days focused, when we came here, focused on the agricultural production, because this is national security as well. So all of this needs electrical power to operate. Everything, including water stations and so on. All of this needs electrical power. So it's a mutual element in all the investments in all the fields, in all the projects actually, in agriculture and irrigation and so on. We were able to be existent and allow and provide all the needed electrical capacities with high efficiency. What would the citizen benefit from all of this? Adding all this produced energy and variation of energy resources, these are sustainable development projects. But the questions are about what are the benefits for the citizens. Imagine how the country would look without energy. Doubtlessly, energy affects everything in life, whether at home or in industry or transportation and everything. When there's a deficit in the production of electrical power, everything would be affected. Doubtlessly, this would affect the production. With the increase of Egypt's amount of or share of power, this would decrease the cost, which would be relieving for some social segments. Let me tell you something. Electrical power is subsidized till 2025, and the country allocated 76 billion Egyptian pounds to support or subsidize energy in this period. People with we are taking into consideration people with low incomes, so we divided them into segments with high transparency and honesty. We talked about this in the television. We discussed our plans and how they change, because doubtlessly things can never depend on subsidy forever. It's impossible, actually. So we will always take into consideration low-income families and relieve some burdens, so energy would not be a very expensive thing for them. But now in Egypt, the average price of electrical power at all levels is much less than the real cost. Can this step be followed with other steps? Is it the conclusion, or do we have other plans to establish similar plans? Actually, this is only the start. We reserved certain spaces, and we have plans to reach 7,600 kilometers in order to generate power. Excuse me for interruption, but we had information that the ministry issued like an atlas for wind and solar power. Actually, there are studies that have been conducted and provided to the investors in order to choose the suitable place. At the same time, they have the role in order to measure things in order to make sure. You asked me if this is the end. Actually, this is the beginning. We expect that in 2030, renewable energy in Egypt, in all forms, whether hydraulic or solar or wind powers, would reach 10,000 megawatts, which is a very huge figure, which represents 20% of the maximum needed power in Egypt. I know that you're busy, but this is my last point. It's no secret that some places in Egypt are expected to have new renewable energy sources. Upper Egypt in particular enjoy high capacities for solar power. Huge part of the current projects and future projects are in Upper Egypt because it enjoys a huge amount of solar power, and on the coast of Red Sea, the area here is promising and increasing the investments in power, whether normal power or renewable power. Once again, congratulations for this project. Wishing you all success and guidance. Thank you, sir. Dear audience, we are still
صورة حية على الهواء مباشرة تأتيكم من محطة بنبان للطاقة الشمسية في أسوان. مشاهدينا الكرام، كما نتابع هذه
Dear
الاحتفالية
audience, we
بافتتاح
are
هذه
following up with
المحطة
this
بشكل رسمي
event
من قبل السيد
for
رئيس
inaugurating
الجمهورية.
this station officially by the president. We followed up the first part of the event with huge information on power and the modernized powers in Egypt in electricity and other information on this important station. The president of the state is now inspecting spaces of panels, of flat panels PV in this station on extended spaces. The space of this complex is up to 37 kilometers square. As you can see in this shoot, there are thousands of panels in order to generate electrical power. It's expected that the president would listen to the nature of controlling this station and the transfer and make an exploitation of the produced electrical power. Quickly, let me remind you of some points mentioned by Dr. Muhammad Shaker, the Minister of Electricity and Power, when he talked about this station in particular. He explained that this station is one of 4 that are responsible for the transferring of solar power in Benban. This project is one of the largest projects to generate solar power worldwide. In relation to some technical points, this project can be ranked first worldwide. The target of this project is to produce 2,000 megawatts now. Is 1,400 megawatts are produced from 32 stations. 8 stations will be added soon in order to reach the target figure, which is 2,000 megawatts. The number of panels that you can watch in some live shoots that come from the side of this planet is over thousands. They may reach 200,000 flat panels PV that are executed on ground. This image is a good proof that Egypt is seeking to vary the resources of energy, especially electrical power. It also seeks to make use of every opportunity to generate electricity, even with few amounts. I here mention what Dr. Muhammad Shaker said in his presentation. He said that Asyut produces only 32 megawatts. However, the state makes use of these stations in producing electrical power, so not miss any opportunity to generate electrical power, especially from renewable resources. As you can see, these images may be repeated because it's a huge space of solar panels, as I told you. The president could saw them in the plane for 5 minutes, in the plane actually, which shows how large the station is. As you can see, the president is moving in the station, reaching one of the points where he would listen to some information and explanation on the controlling and the management of some technical aspects in this station.
اهلا وسهلا، شرفتني يا فندم.
Welcome, we are honored to have
محمد
you.
فاروق.
I'm Engineer
اسم
Mohammed Said
كهرباء
Farouk,
مصر
the
العليا،
President
الشركة
of
المصرية لنقل الكهرباء.
Electricity in Upper
سيادتك يا
Egypt
فندم
in
احنا
the
حاليا
National
في
Company
محطة
for
محولات
Electricity. Now
بنبان
we are
3.
in transmitters
محطة جولد 500
of
على
Bimban 3.
22 على 22 كيلو فولت.
It's
سعة المحطة يا فندم
the capacity of the
جهة
station is
شبكة ال 500
of
3 في 500 ميجا فولت أمبير.
3 pi 500 volts. We are extending to a fourth transmitter with 500 volt capacity, so the capacity of the station is 2000 volts. So the aim is to be ready to receive the power coming from Bimban stations. The target is to have 2000 megavolt ampere, so it's the largest solar power worldwide. We consider the SIR under your management or presidency is another high dam. As for the linking lines in the 500 network, we are linked to the Toshka 2 network through the circles number 1 and 2. This is to provide the needed power under your directives in order to reform the agricultural lands in Toshka and Awainat areas. The 2 other circles with the of 500 volts also, Naga Hamadi industrial circles number 1 and 2. This shall provide the power needed for all the factories in Qina governorate. As for the 220 network, we have 3 transmitters of 175 mega. We are extending to a fourth transmitter, so we can have total of 700 megavolt ampere. The linking lines between Bimban 2 and Bimban 4
لا في حاجة عاوز أقولها لسيادتك يا فندم، معلش والله.
I'm sorry, I want to tell you something.
بالنسبة لقطاع الكهرباء.
As for electricity sector,
بذل مجهود كبير.
It exerted a huge effort in establishing these 4 transmitters before the investors finished the establishment of their station. We got 10,000 kilometers of cables of in 6 months. All of these things are made in Egypt, or we exported some things? No, actually they are from Egypt. Thank you.